The original seeds we bought from Peaceful Valley. I made a purchase. Peaceful Valley is a company in Grass Valley, and they do all organic seeds. And I like it because it comes from California, so it's a local business. The second set of seeds came from Renee's Gardens, and they were pulling all the old seeds off the shelves at the stores where they have their displays and where they sell their seeds. And a representative gave a bunch of seeds to school gardens around Contra Costa. And we were the recipients of lots and lots of seed packages from Renee's. Well, the seeds have to come from a mature plant. So if you take a look a little bit later, you can see some of the yellow flowers, some of the things that are going to seed. And so what we're doing is allowing some of the lettuce and the collards and some of the greens to go to seed, so we can collect those and use them in the garden. And they also self-seed, which is a really nice thing. In the spring, we're just coming out of winter, and the types of vegetables that grow in the winter are lettuces, spinach, other greens, some onions, radishes, those kinds of things. A lot of salad greens. So if you're eating seasonally, then you look forward to all the leafy vegetables that grow through the winter. Okay, so when we harvest the vegetables, we have students come up and, well, right now we're picking mostly the lettuce and the greens, the onions and things like that. We wash it about 7 times up here. I like to save the water and use the water that we wash all the vegetables in and put it back in the beds. We take them down to the food service. There I spin it to get all the water off of them, because soggy lettuce isn't all that good, but nice crisp lettuce that has been spun is great. And then they put it into a walk-in cooler. It's nice and cool, or they may use it, depending on what time of day, directly in the food service line. So it could be in the salad line. Some of the spinach and onions and things like that go to the Legacy Garden vegetarian line.
My name is Matt Lapinto. I'm the executive chef here. She gives us fresh herbs like thyme and basil, oregano, and we use that. She gives us beans, green beans, radishes. She brought some lettuce in last week, and I put it out on the salad bar right during dinner. And I just kind of told a few people this came straight from the garden, and it was gone in like a minute or two.
We're blessed to find Julie Welsh, who loves gardening and really took hold of the garden here at St. Mary's. Otherwise, I think it would have been a slower start. But she really got everybody involved, and we got a lot of volunteers and donations, and the whole project just started steamrolling. And part of that was the composting for the garden.
Okay, so the compost is trying to close the loop on the waste cycle on campus. We take vegetable and fruit peelings from the kitchen, and this is before students eat them. So we're not using student waste, we're using food that is prepared in the kitchen before it goes to the
Because
students.
Julie can only take produce for the compost. She couldn't take any breads or animal products.
So things like cantaloupe rinds and parts of the lettuce that are discarded after they wash it and things like that. That goes into our compost pile. It gets mixed with leaves that were collected in November and December and January on campus, because you have to mix the brown and the green so you don't get a slimy mess, so you get nice rich compost. Then the worms do their job and the microorganisms do their job, and they decompose it. It takes about 3 to 4 months to get nice rich compost, which in turn then feeds the soil. We put it into the soil, we put our plants into the soil. Those nutrients feed the plants, and then we take the plants, such as the lettuce, back to the kitchen, and it feeds the students. And so it's a nice cycle closing the loop. Sometimes the garden produce isn't as big or as green or as it has some holes in it because the bugs also like it. But students need to remember that the produce that comes from here is very fresh. There's no pesticides on it, no herbicides on it. So there's going to be some organic activity that makes the produce look a little bit different than what you're used to. So when it's from the garden, it's extremely fresh and it's extremely healthy. It just may look a little different than what we're used to when we buy like the best looking produce, but it has a more intense flavor. And I think that as students get used to seeing it in the food service, they'll be very appreciative and glad to have it.